Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. We're coming to you on this Tuesday, on the 20th day of January, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Shut up. That was the direct message from Senator Ping Lacson to critics as the Blue Ribbon Committee reconvened its flood control investigation. Lacson stressed that the probe is moving forward and insisted that the panel will not be intimidated into silence. Former Senator Revilla surrendered at Camp Crame Monday night following the issuance of an arrest warrant by the Sandigan Bayan. While lamenting a supposed lack of due process, the former senator stated he is ready to prove his innocence against allegations of a 92.8 million peso ghost project. And the families of the missing Sabongeros are growing impatient as the manhunt for Atong Ang continues. While relatives fear he has fled abroad, the Bureau of Immigration says it has no record of his departure. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee resumed its investigation into alleged anomalies and flood control projects today. New claims and testimonies were raised during the hearing. Here's the report.
At the very start of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's 8th hearing, Chairman Senator Ping Lacson immediately lashed out.
As the chairman of this committee, I say to you, shut the F up.
Lacson said the noise coming from detractors is not only unhelpful, but is also getting in the way of finding the truth.
Your noise will not silence the truth. Neither does it provide any help in our investigation. Your noise cannot convict and won't even indict the malefactors in this flood control mess. Only evidence does. Para ipangalandakan ninyo na inutil at walang silbi ang Blue Ribbon Committee is not only insensitive to its members, but an insult to our fellow Filipinos who have consistently followed and monitored our hearings and participated in the trillion-peso march.
Lacson also strongly denied accusations that the committee is protecting anyone.
Let me emphasize one point. We always go where the evidence leads us. We do not target any particular person, nor do we have the intention to cover up for anybody.
His statement comes after Senator Amy Marcos claimed that they were being prevented from naming high-ranking officials allegedly involved in the flood control scandal. But during yesterday's hearing, Senator Marcos was absent. Among those who faced the committee were two women who testified under the names Joy and Maria, former staff of a tenant in a house located in South Forbes, Tamarind Street. They claimed that in February 2023, a contractor who introduced himself as Curly Descaya told them that former Speaker Martin Romualdez was supposedly the new owner of the property and that they needed to leave.
And he also mentioned to us na contractor ako dito meron din kaming deadline. And then we both asked, baka pwede po namin pakiusapan yung may-ari, yung bagong nakabili ng bahay. And then he also mentioned that si Romualdez ang nakabili.
The Senate confirmed that the man they were referring to was Curly Descaya. During the hearing, the two witnesses identified Descaya in person. But Descaya denied the allegations and even challenged the witnesses to remove their face masks. Senator Lacson rejected that request.
It's not for you to identify them, it's for them to identify you.
Your Honor, wala po kasi ang maalalang transaction. Hindi ko pa nga alam kung ano mga uri ng mga bahay meron doon. So, malabong-malabo po talaga at wala po akong inuutusan na kahit sinong broker kasi takot po akong bumili sa mga lugar na yun. Ang kaya ko lang bilhin po ng mga lupa sa lugar lang po ng mga Pasig na hindi ganun kamahal ang presyo ng lupa.
Hindi ko naman sasabing bumili ka They identified you and you are denying. Period.
In a separate statement, Romualdez's camp insisted that the allegations raised in the Senate are logically and physically impossible. His spokesperson also said the claims came only from the staff of an evicted tenant and were not supported by any documents or evidence. Meanwhile, Senate President Tito Soto and Senator Lacson agreed to transfer former DPWH District Engineer Henry Alcantara to the custody of the Department of Justice after he was placed under the Witness Protection Program. Lacson said the door remains open for others who want to come forward, but they must tell the full truth. The issue of witness protection applications involving the Descayas was also raised again. Senator Rodante Marcoleta and DOJ Prosecutor General Richard Fadulyon once more clashed over the issue of restitution.
Kasinungalingan po yung sinasabi ni Mr. Diskaya na agad-agad silang sinabihan na magsoli ka.
Hindi siya sinungaling. Ang mismong kayo ang nagbigay na ng kondisyon kasi.
But did they ever come to the department to coordinate with us? No, they did not. Hindi po ito question na kung sino ang nauna na nagsalita. Hindi po ito question kung sino yung naunang nagbanggit ng napakaraming pangalan kung hindi rin naman nila kayang suportahan ng ebidensya.
I am sorry, Mr. Chair, he did not refresh my memory. Pinopulyot mo yung memory ko eh.
In the end, Curly Diskaya chose not to speak further on the issue for now, saying he fears he could be jailed if he continues to talk, especially after his wife was allegedly detained in Davao. Kapatid mobile journalist Mary Reyes, we are One News.
Former Senator Bong Revilla surrendered at Camp Crame after the Sandigan Bayan issued arrest and hold departure orders against him and 6 others. That's over a non-bailable charge of malversation of public funds linked to a 92.8 million peso ghost flood control project in Pandi, Bulacan. Revilla said he's ready to face the charges without fear. This marks the second time Revilla has been detained in connection with corruption allegations.
Nakakalungkot po, parang wala yatang due process. Pero ganun pa man, haharapin ko to ng walang takot. At alam kong hindi ako papabayaan ng Diyos dahil wala po akong kasalanan dito.
The first impeachment complaint against President Bongbong Marcos has been filed with the House of Representatives. In response, Malacanang said it will respect constitutional processes and trust Congress to handle the matter with integrity. Here's a report.
President Bongbong Marcos is now facing his first impeachment complaint. The complaint was filed by lawyer Andre De Jesus and endorsed by Pusong Pinoy Party List Representative Jet Isay. It accuses the president of violating the Constitution and betraying public trust. Among other allegations, it cites the International Criminal Court's arrest in March last year of former President Rodrigo Duterte. The complaint also claims that President Marcos is unfit to hold office due to alleged drug addiction, an accusation previously raised by his sister, Senator Amy Marcos. De Jesus further alleged that the president failed to veto unprogrammed appropriations and other unconstitutional provisions in the General Appropriations Act from 2023 to 2026. The complaint also accuses the chief executive of receiving kickbacks from government flood control projects and of using the Independent Commission for Infrastructure to target political opponents while protecting allegedly corrupt allies.
What I need to do, I have to do. So that is exactly why I'm here, irrespective of the possible turnout. But then again, miracles do happen. I believe that miracles happen, and who knows? The numbers might end up being in our favor. Maybe members of Congress might wake up one morning thinking, hey, you know what? He has a point. Maybe we ought to exact accountability from our president.
Meanwhile, Congressman Nisay was asked about his endorsement of the impeachment complaint. Nisay's name appeared in a list of congressmen whom the ICI said were linked to contractors involved in government infrastructure projects.
No one, not even the president, is above the law. So sabi nga, mapanagot ang dapat mapanagot. So siguro, mapanagot ang totoong may mga sala.
House Senior Deputy Minority Leader and Caloocan City 2nd District Representative Egay Ariza said he found it strange that Andre De Jesus filed the complaint.
I'm still puzzled on what's really the motive of this complaint because I find it strange na it's only 4 pages without attachments.
Erice noted that De Jesus had once served as counsel to First Lady Liza Marcos in a disbarment case involving another lawyer. De Jesus has denied having any links to either President Marcos or Vice President Sara Duterte. For his part, Davao City 1st District Congressman Paulo Duterte believes the complaint is meant to protect rather than impeach the president. He said the case will likely be dismissed, which would then trigger the 1-year constitutional ban on filing another impeachment complaint against the same official. This view was echoed by Vice President Duterte, who is currently in The Hague to visit their father.
Murag bakuna ang tawag nila. Mabakunahan ka para kuan ka. Protected ka for 1 year.
In a statement, House Speaker Boji D said the House of Representatives sees no sufficient basis at this time to justify the impeachment complaint against the president. He emphasized that impeachment is a serious and rigorous constitutional process that should not be used for political purposes or to foster division. Meanwhile, Malacanang said it acknowledges the democratic process involved in filing the impeachment complaint against President Marcos. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said they will respect the process and trust that Congress will act with integrity.
Itong mga issue po na ito ay matagal na po natin nasagot. Matagal na po natin itong naipaliwanag at masasabi natin sa ngayon, base lamang po sa inyong sinabi ay masasabi natin ito ay walang basehan. Ang Pangulo po ay naniniwala na ang mga mababatas natin ay gagamit ng kanilang pag-iisip, kanilang puso at sila ay naaayon sa batas at hindi para sa pansariling kapakanan lamang.
For now, it is business as usual for President Marcos.
Coming right up, we'll be joined by Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste to discuss the Cabral files and the growing tension in the Senate probe. Don't go away, Morning Matters will be back after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning, Gretchen Ho here in Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind headlines. Senator Dante Marcoleta said it would be inappropriate for Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste to disclose the contents of the so-called Cabral files. During yesterday's Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, Marcoleta said Leviste should limit his testimony to how he obtained the files from the office of the late DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral, not interpret their content, since he is not part of the agency nor involved in preparing the reports. He added that any discussion of the file's contents should be left to DPWH officials. Leviste, however, said he may still release the complete files online. And joining us now to react to this, we have Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste, who is said to be in possession of the so-called Cabral files. Welcome back to the show, Congressman.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Okay, first of all, how do you respond to what Senator Marcoleta said that you should, it is inappropriate for you to disclose the Cabral files because you are not competent because you don't come from the DPWH?
If I can explain, Senator Marcoleta said that in front of the DPWH because he was trying to get the DPWH to release the files, but their answer was that it is with the Ombudsman, and we are waiting for the Ombudsman to finish with, I believe, the help of the NBI, the forensic examination of the computer of the former Undersecretary Cabral. And I believe several senators were also asking if we can get the commitment that it will be released. And Senator Marcoleta also explained that there are rules on evidence that electronic documents are admissible and we don't need to wait for the forensic examination to finish. So that's just to give context that I agree. It is better for the implementing agency to be the one to release and explain the files. But insofar as they have not yet released by them, that I also think nothing precludes it from being released outside of a hearing. But in the official hearing, it should really come from the implementing agency.
How do you plan to corroborate the files that you have on hand? Kasi sinabi mo yesterday sa hearing that two other parties have a soft copy of those files. That's Billionario News Channel, and then there's the office of Senator Lacson. Billionario has issued a public statement denying that they have the same files as you from their DPWH leaks. Senator Lacson naman yesterday said that he may have incomplete files, referring to the Saro files involving billions of pesos. So how do you plan to authenticate the files that you have?
The intent is for DPWH to be the one to release them. And then when they're released, people that have other copies of them can point out if there's any inconsistency. But if I can address the other 2 points, Senator Lacson did mention that magkakapareho ang mga nakita niya sa files na pinaliwanag ko din. And I would also say that what he has shared regarding his files is also consistent with what I have. And the I think reason why people are careful on what they disclose on unauthenticated copies is we want to hear the official copy from the DPWH. I think it's a matter of process, but in substance, I think the public wants to know really what's in the files. So I think it won't really be bad if it doesn't like the files are being released by a given date to just release even unofficial copies already. But regarding the news outlet that you mentioned a while ago, I have a receipt of what copy they have because I have seen a copy that came from them. So I think people are also just careful not to admit that they have copies because it might be subpoenaed or it might have some legal implication. That they...
Now, this is the other news channel, to your second point.
Yes, but I have also publicly said that I have seen the copy that others have that did not come from me. And it is, as far as I have seen, exactly the same as the copy that I have. But may I explain that this is the detailed contents of the files, but the summary that has already been posted on Facebook was confirmed yesterday as coming from the DPWH by current Undersecretary Bernabe, and then Secretary Bonoan was thankfully also there at the hearing, and he said that I am familiar with these files.
Okay, so have you had correspondence with the DPWH to authenticate these files? What is taking so long for them to just confirm if the numbers match up with what they have on hand?
Well, that's at least progress that came yesterday, where they confirmed at least the summary that was posted on Facebook came from them. And I agree that it shouldn't have been controversial for them to confirm the budget amounts per district because that is also based on official documents. And I would say that there is maybe reluctance to admit how many billions each district gets because there is maybe some stigma that getting billions means that there's also much in commissions, but there's no implication just from the budget amounts that there are commissions on budgets. But the detailed files have the list of projects with the tagged proponents. And you could also search the contractors for those projects and see if they have connections to the proponents. And that's, I guess, where the files become useful for ongoing investigations. And I also did share at the start of the part of this hearing yesterday some of the segments of the files that hopefully could have been explained by the DPWH, who was really behind inserting those segments into the budget. But I think it's also hard to get full answers from people in the hearings because the response by some of the people in the DPWH at least is that I don't know.
Okay, so what is the scope of those files? I mean, sabi mo nga, no, meron dito yung mga allocables, non-allocables, and at the outset, you said that even non-legislators were proposing projects, but this was explained na it could come from bottom-up budgeting, na galing sa baba yung proposal ng mga project, which is a common thing, no? Especially if it's a community project that is being proposed. So, what could we see here? What is the scope? Because Senator Lacson said yung SARO yung nakalagay dito sa mga Cabral files.
Okay, so the big picture is out of 721 billion, there's 401 billion that is the district congressman's allocable. And there's maybe 100 billion on top of that that is on extra for the district congressmen, party lists, and senators. And there's some other non-allocable that is understandably a multi-year project of the agency on top of that. But there's around 200 billion pesos of projects with not of people, but with code names. And I read some of them out at the hearing yesterday and asked if Secretary Bonoan could explain who is really behind these lists. And he said that he didn't know. Yusek Cabral was the one that made the list. But one of them is 6 billion pesos under the tag Bini 10. Another one of them is 10 billion pesos under the tag F1. The biggest one is 100 billion pesos under Senti 2025, which I previously said has some pattern of being connected to some big contractors. And so I think a lot of questionable projects under OT2, and then there's also the previously disclosed 8 billion under OPES SAP. These are, I think, on their face, not enough to implicate anyone, but when you look at the projects, they're mostly, a while ago, what if they are legit requests by local communities? Most of them are flood control in some of these lists, which are substandard. Many ghost projects are even among these. In my own district, I've looked at some of the projects that are on these lists, and I can say they are anomalous projects where someone must have benefited, and the question then is who, which deeper investigation based on the files can help identify who benefited from these projects.
To be honest, there's a lot of confusion already in public over the content of these files. Some we don't know which files circulating online have been edited, and to prevent that, why don't you just release the full list online? I mean, hinamon ka na rin ni actually ni Congressman Terry Redon, sabi niya ang tagal-tagal niyo na daw nagsasalita, last month pa, bakit di mo na lang i-post? Why not give this list to civil society at least to help break it down? What's preventing you from disclosing everything?
I was waiting for yesterday's hearing if DPWH will release the files, and they said that they're going through an authentication process. So if there's no objection, then maybe we can release more of the files on Facebook. The summary was already uploaded in December, and that much was, as I said earlier, confirmed as coming from the DPWH yesterday. So, so the more detailed part of the files, unless anyone objects, then I think they can just be released on Facebook. The point a while ago was just that they not be released at the hearing because it is not yet authenticated, but I think no one objects to releasing them officially.
Kasi if you're confident of the numbers and that it would line up with what others have, then if you distribute it to everybody, a soft copy, a hard copy, Facebook, via website, then that would somehow give more credibility to your statements, don't you think?
Yes, but sometimes when it's released, they then say, oh, it's not worth anything because it didn't come from the DPWH. But yes, as long as it is understood that it is yet to be authenticated, then I agree with releasing them online.
Oh, and do you have a timeline as to when you're going to do this? Or
after your show.
Oh, okay. We're waiting for that. Dapat before. Joke lang. Okay, now I want to go to another part that has been an issue that's been brought up against you. Undersecretary Claire Castro says she's confused over your ownership status at your solar company. So let's give you a chance to clear it out directly. As I understand, Solar Philippines is the mother or umbrella company of all of these solar companies. Tama ba?
Yes. I note that she said she is confused. And that's because she first said that I sold the franchise given by Congress, when in fact, me that I sold does not have any franchise, and the company with the franchise was not sold. And the company that I did sell is the company that the DOE sent, I understand, the letter to regarding the penalties that have been mentioned in public. Second part, I think, after your first question, is the DOE has said that there are penalties. Those have not been sent in any letter addressed to me or my company that I control. And I think because of the many companies with the name Solar in it, then there's some confusion about which company is which. But I can say I do not have a company that has received a letter addressed to me regarding the amount of the penalties have been disclosed. But I can say there are others with smaller amounts that have been sent to me, but not the one that has been mentioned in the media. And the company that I own and control today, the holding company, I have disclosed in my SAL-N, so there's nothing controversial about owning a holding company, and I am not developing new projects under my company.
This is SP NEC, tama ba?
No, Solar Philippines Power Project Holdings. owns
Solar Philippines. Okay, so that's the mother company. SPNEC is a subsidiary which is listed under Philippine Stock Exchange, which was the one that was sold, right? And Solar para sa Bayan naman is the one that has the franchise to operate.
Yes, and it's a separate company from that group. But Solar Philippines Holdings owns my shares in SPNEC, and SPNEC has many operations. Solar Philippines Holdings is just a holding company that is not developing new projects, and it's also disclosed in my SALN.
I guess one of the questions that's floating on my mind is why did this need three companies to achieve the vision?
SPNEC has maybe a dozen companies under it, and outside of these three, Solar Philippines Holdings has also maybe dozens of other companies, because when you have a project, sometimes you make a special purpose vehicle. But what important thing is where their operating assets or substantial assets, and that's in SPNEC. So outside of SPNEC, there isn't much substantial.
Okay, why is it just Solar para sa Bayan that needed the franchise and not the SPNEC and not Solar
You don't need
Philippines?
a franchise for power generation. That's why, honestly, the initial allegation that I sold the franchise was easily verifiably wrong just based on Google. And people in the industry also know that when you are developing a power generation project, you are not being relied on by the country to be like the sole or exclusive supplier of power supply. It's like building a subdivision or a shopping center. It's good actually for us to encourage investors to put them up, but most developments that are planned don't proceed. In large part, investors will say because of red tape and the difficulty of dealing with government in the Philippines. And I don't think that the recent events have been very encouraging, which might be why foreign direct investment is at a post-COVID low, and our peso to the dollar is at an all-time low. And SPNEC, by the way, the company that I founded, has the single largest foreign investment in the Philippines in 2025, and it currently employs over 10,000 people on an ongoing project. I am grateful that the president ground broke it in November 2024, and it's a bit confusing, I think, that the same company that they have publicly supported is now being characterized as not having delivered conspicuously right after I have been disclosing information about these budget insertions.
But you've been fined as early as 24, tama ba? Solar Philippines was slapped with fines and canceled 15 contracts due to non-delivery as early as 2024. Isn't that one of the facts here?
That was December 2025. And this all happened December 2025.
Not 2024.
Yes, and the DOE's statement about it is all after that happened December 2025.
But the Solar para sa Bayan is it generating energy already?
No, as previously explained, it stopped operations in 2022 because, first of all, after it was granted its franchise in 2019, the DOE was supposed to issue an implementing rules and regulations, which was not done. And actually, there were cases filed by local electric distributors who did not want to have a competitor in their area. And then after a general law was passed that said that a franchise for this purpose is repealed, then the franchise was basically already repealed, and it stopped in 2022. The franchise also says that within 2 years of non-operation, it is ipso facto revoked. So you can say then that not only was the franchise repealed, but if it were not repealed, it was.
Okay, what are you planning about the fines that were slapped upon Solar Philippines? As you mentioned, the letter has not been delivered to you personally. What is your company's plan to? Are you going to pay the fines? Have you paid any fines?
Not only that the letter was not addressed to me, it's that the letter is not for Solar Philippines Power Project Holdings Inc. It is not for my company. And that's why I don't mean to implicate another company here, but I am saying this clearly that companies that I control do not have the aforementioned fines. And the thing I said is that there are smaller fines, and I have paid smaller fines, but not anywhere near the magnitude that has been mentioned.
And what is your level of ownership now in these three companies?
I wholly own Solar Philippines Power Project Holdings Inc. And I own 18 point something% of NEC.
And then Solar para sa Bayan, wala na?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's clear. Thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to the releasing of the full Cabral files online after the show, as you mentioned. Maraming salamat, Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste. Up next, we'll be joined by Commodore J. Tariela to discuss the diplomatic protest filed by China over social media posts featuring images of President Xi Jinping. All that and more when Morning Matters returns. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here in One News. As we know, China's filed a diplomatic protest against the Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, over social media posts against its leaders. The Chinese embassy said the posts violated China's political dignity and crossed a red line. The embassy added that it lodged formal protests with Malacanang, the Department of Foreign Affairs, and the Philippine Coast Guard. Tariela defended his posts, saying they were based on factual evidence, including videos, photos, and official reports. He stressed that his role is to communicate the realities of the West Philippine Sea. Joining us now on the show, we have PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Magandang umaga sa iyo, Gretchen, at magandang umaga rin sa iyong mga taga-subaybay.
Hey, Commodore, did the Chinese embassy directly ask you to apologize or retract your posts, and how did you respond? Or did they just ask the Philippine Coast Guard to clarify if your statements online were part of official policy?
Well, first of all, Ms. Gretchen, I think although it's not officially directly, but even before this diplomatic protest happened, lahat ng social media posting ng Chinese embassy in response to whatever I'm reporting, the factual incidents that are happening in the West Philippine Sea, they're always tagging my name in various platforms, Facebook, X, whatever. They will always mention my name, challenging our factual narrative of the incidents. Now, with regard to this diplomatic protest, yes, they have officially communicated this to Malacanang, Department of Foreign Affairs, and the Philippine Coast Guard, as they have noted also on their social media posts.
Does it feel a little bit personal? And when did this tagging start?
Alam mo, para sa akin, Ms. Gretchen, ang ginagawang ito ng Chinese embassy before the diplomatic protest that they did, has been happening days already. At least more than a week pa nga yata, immediately after Christmas, that they've been tagging me. I think the main reason for this, it's because of the guidance of the new ambassador. This is the first time that we're hearing Chinese embassy within our own country as host country becoming very loud and so noisy about all those things that they are saying when it comes to the West Philippine Sea. They lambasted Senator Pangilinan, Congressman Laila De Lima, Congressman Shell Jokno. Ang tingin ko, the intention really of the Chinese embassy under the new ambassador is to believe na the transparency efforts that we have been doing for almost 3 years already under this administration can only be countered if they're also going to produce alternative information which is based on lies and misinformation.
Do you recall the first time the Chinese embassy in Manila tagged you, and what was it about?
Yes, the first time was when the Filipino fishermen, na sinasabi nating tinulungan daw nila, but in reality, sabi nila 3 days na daw distress yung mga isda at merong help me. And then I responded back. I said, we talked to the Filipino fishermen. The reason why he did that is because he is afraid that there is a warship that deployed a small boat. So he has to be innovative to come up with an excuse. No? Kaya nagsulat siya ng help me. And then that was the first time. And then sunod-sunod na. Lahat ng insidente inilalabas natin, lahat ng information na inilalabas natin sa West Philippine Sea, you can always expect the Chinese embassy having an alternative narrative of incidents that we publicize.
Do you see this as escalation on the part of the Chinese embassy, or do you see this as more personal nga in nature na parang pinag-iinitan ho kayo?
Well, para sa akin, Gretchen, no? This is an obvious violation of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. Secondly, the Chinese embassy is just diverting the real issue. It's not about me being loud or asserting or crossing the foreign policy lines of this government. But what the Chinese embassy wants us to make believe is ako mismo nagsasabi ako ng mga kasinungalingan, maling impormasyon that damages our relationship. But they're not holding themselves accountable sa kanilang pangharas ng mga istang Pilipino, sa pang-water cannon ng ordinaryong Pilipino, sa pangbabangga ng Philippine Coast Guard vessel, at pagkaputol ng daliri ng isang miyembro ng Philippine Navy in a Yungin Shoal a few years back. These are the real issues and we should not be diverted. Ito dapat ang pagtuunan pansin ng ating mga kababayang Pilipino.
The post that they lodged a diplomatic protest over was a photo of your speech in DLSU-CSB with caricatures of President Xi Jinping. Is this a standard talk that you give to different schools?
Yun na nga, Ms. Gretchen, no? This caricature, I've been using this a lot of times. And secondly, we have freedom of expression in this country. We have freedom of speech. So that caricature is a satirical illustration of how the Chinese President Xi Jinping remains to be bullied in the West Philippines. But other than that, let us be more realistic about this. If you're going to look at the state media of the Chinese government, they have done a lot of funny and annoying caricatures of the Japanese Prime Minister, for example. President Donald Trump of the United States, and even our president, they also came up with the caricature in their state. So, hindi ko alam kung ano talaga ang iniiyak nila dito. Again, we need to focus on the real issues. Para sa akin, these are just noise to divert and divide the public opinion of the Filipinos for us to forget about the harassment and violations of the international.
What did the caricatures reflect? Kasi yung isa parang may mga flags, tas yung isa may parang nag-reflect si President Xi Jinping, and then the other one was with the Philippine boat. Maaari mo bang may kwento sa amin?
Sure. Ang tanong kasi is how does the Philippine Transparency Initiative works? How does it affect the People's Republic of China when it comes to the issue of the West Philippine Sea? So, may mga nagsasabing ang issue na to never really help us in our rights in the West Philippine Sea. As a matter of fact, tumaas pa daw ang escalation. So, my response to that is, the reason why President Xi Jinping is becoming more bully still, despite of our transparency efforts, because of those three reasons na ipinakita nung caricature. The number one is President Xi Jinping wants to test the limit of those countries who are like-minded states, who support the international law, who condemns them every time that there is harassment. So he wants to test the limit how U.S. Australia can respond. The second one is President Xi Jinping always wants to portray himself as a strong man among the domestic audience of the Chinese government. He cannot be seen as a person na magbaback down dahil criticize siya ng US, ng Japan, or Australia. That's why he needs to elevate the level of aggression a notch higher. And then the third one, I argued that President Xi Jinping, holding a Filipino wooden boat with Philippine flag, wants to break the Filipino spirit when it comes to the transparency efforts. He really wants to silence the transparency effort. This is something that he would not allow to be used as a template for Southeast Asia. So
Oo,
that's
pero
the three caricatures what stands for.
Pero itong presentation po ninyo ay pina-approve nyo ho bago nyo binibigay sa mga school.
Well, again, I'm an academic as well, Ms. Gretchen. I had my PhD about this, so I'm exercising my freedom of expression. And also, again, this is purely academic.
I asked this question or these questions kasi medyo komplikado po yung inyong posisyon. Ano? You are the spokesperson to the West Philippine Sea, the official one from the Philippine Coast Guard. And then you also have your personal expressions online. Paano niyo po binabalanse yun?
Well, para sa akin, Ms. Gretchen, no? Regardless if I have any my personal expression, what I'm saying are all factual. Totoo na hinaharas sa mais ng Pilipino. Totoo na hindi nakikinig ang People's Republic of China sa statement ng Estados Unidos, ng Japan, ng Australia at ng European Union. Totoo na si President Xi Jinping would always want to see himself as a strong man because he never really wants to step down as the national leader of the Chinese Communist Party. All of these are facts. None of that are personal expression.
But you do know that China can be a little bit sensitive when it comes to how their leaders portrayed, right? Because in the past, meron na ring parang cartoon character na hinalintulad sa kanya and they banned that film.
Ba itong pinag-uusapan natin, Ms.
This is according to a report by The Guardian, yes. I am confirming that. I was reading that back in 2018, China has reportedly banned a Winnie the Pooh film, which is Christopher Robin. So alam niyo ho na medyo sensitibo itong China pagdating sa mga ganyan.
Well, again, why would we even think about how sensitive the Chinese government is kung patuloy nilang binababoy, inaalipusta, at pinahihirapan ng ordinaryong mais ng Pilipino? That's a real issue here.
And so this was also a strong statement on your part to come up with the satirical caricature images.
I don't, for me, Ms. Gretchen, these are not strong statements. These are just caricatures. And they have been doing that to a lot of national leaders in different parts of the world. So, kung for them this is a strong statement, then they should probably look at themselves in the mirror.
Okay, now going to the facts out at sea. I just wanted to get a sense of what's been happening. Along with this change in tone by the Chinese Embassy in Manila, meron din po bang pagbabago o escalation sa Bajo de Masinloc? Kasi aking natatandaan, dati pagka lumagpas ka lamang no, sa 30 nautical miles or 50 nautical miles, tsaka nagkakaroon ng pero hinahayaan pa nila noon yung mga mangingisda na makapangisda sa traditional fishing waters as is awarded by UNCLOS. But this time around, last December, mayroon water cannoning incident with fishermen and the latest harassment. So is there a noticeable escalation of the situation at Bajo de Masinloc?
Ms. Gretchen, annually, we have the Philippine Coast Guard Transparency Group annual report. And we publicize that through our website, and we also distribute that to all concerned government agencies. At sa aming pag-aanalisa ng 2025, we saw that the Filipino fishermen, comparing it in 2024, totoo naman yung sinasabi mo, no? Na in 2024, the Filipino fishermen are still concentrated within the near vicinity of Bajo de Masinloc. But in 2025, the Filipino fishermen are pretty much dispersed farther away from Bajo de Masinloc and closer to the coastline of Luzon, whether in Ilocos, Pangasinan, Bataan, Zambales, and Mindoro. So our explanation is we look also at the deployment of the China Coast Guard vessels and the Chinese Maritime Militia. Before, in 2024, the Chinese Maritime Forces are only concentrated and focused also in Bajo de Masinloc. But nowadays, particularly in 2025, we saw that the strategic changes and calibrated responses of the Chinese Coast Guard, they are not ng Zambales. And this explains why it became more difficult for Filipino fishermen to fish. It's because the Chinese from Bajo de Masinloc and closer to the coastline of Luzon.
So lumalapit na ho sa
Yes.
Zambales coastline.
And for the entire year, that's what we have been doing. No? Admiral Gavan has been deploying the 97-meter BRP Cabral, BRP Cape San Agustin to prevent the Chinese government in normalizing their illegal presence and unlawful activities near the coastline of Luzon.
How close have they been getting?
Well, based on our annual report, the closest that they got was 25 nautical miles from Mindoro.
Oh, that's very near. Okay. Looking at the water cannoning incident back in December 12, what really happened here? Bakit ho dumating po dun sa tipping point na yon that 20 Filipino fishing boats were targeted?
Well, are we talking about the Skoda incident?
Oh yes, Skoda Shoal. This is
Gretchen.
not the Bajo de Masinloc.
Skoda. This is the first time that we have recorded that the Chinese Coast Guard deliberately and without hesitation targeted ordinary Filipino fishermen at may mga mangingisda ditong nasaktan, may mga bangka tayo ng ating mga kababayan na nasira. No? And that's the reason why the Philippine Coast Guard has to proceed there and to conduct medical support sa ating mga mangingisda. If you're going to ask me bakit nangyari ito, because again, obviously, the Chinese government doesn't really care about human rights of international law. They don't care about the 2016 arbitral award. Much more that they do not care the safety and security of ordinary Filipino fishermen who are just civilian.
But strategy-wise, what could be the reason? Because we do know that the Chinese, kung ano man nangyayari out at sea, is in line with their strategies. For example, dito nga po sa diplomatic strategies, for example, dito nga sa Sandy case, bigla na rin bumigat yung presensya, tapos dito sa Bajo de Masinloc, tapos doon naman sa BRP Sierra Madre, medyo kumonte nung napag-usapan na, o tumaas yung tensyon. Dito sa Skoda Shoal, what could be the reason for the escalation?
Well, obviously, Ms. Gretchen, ang Chinese Coast Guard won't allow the presence of the Filipino fishermen na mangisda rito. Just like what they're doing in Bajo de Masinloc. They want to dominate the area. They want to drive away the Filipino fishermen and also to make them more afraid, to coerce them na wag nang mangisda sa Sabina Shoal.
And you mentioned a while ago this incident back in December 2025. Balik tayo sa Bajo de Masinloc, itong kung saan tinulungan daw yung fisherman, pero sabi ninyo naging strategy niya. What really happened there?
Ms. Gretchen, what happened then was Skoda Shoal. Kinundin na siya ng napakaraming embahada rito at ng international community. Because they used water cannon against an ordinary Filipino fisherman. A few days back, they need to have a PR stunt para magkaroon ng magandang imahe ang Chinese government. So they saw Filipino fishermen na nakatali safely sa isang payaw sa Bajo de Masinloc. And they grabbed the opportunity. Pinuntahan ito ng small boat at sinabing nagmigay sila ng tubig at biskwit at nag-press release agad sila immediately. At ang sabi nila, this is an search and rescue done by the Chinese PLA Navy at sa pagtulong sa mga ngista na 3 araw na daw on distress, namigay daw sila ng tubig. So, when we arrived, according to the Filipino fishermen, hindi pa naman daw siya 3 araw. Wala pa nga 24 hours. And safely, nakatali naman siya sa isang payaw. So, again, this is a PR stunt that they want to employ to recover the reputational damage that they did to themselves because of the water.
And this was
Yeah, for sure.
after what happened at the Skoda Shoal. Just to be clear with
Yes.
the timelines.
A few days after, yeah.
Okay. What are things to watch out for in other parts of the West Philippine Sea, sa Pag-asa Island? Are you monitoring anything significant that we need to watch, to observe?
Alam mo, Miss Gretchen, ngayong parte ng taon na to, especially January, February, bumababa based on our data for the past years, bumababa ang bilang ng China Coast Guard, the Philippine Navy, and the Chinese Maritime Militia. All because they are on vacation or leave or something dahil sa upcoming Lunar New Year. No? So right now, there's a decreasing number of Chinese maritime forces in the entire West Philippine Sea because of this upcoming holiday for them. With regard to the priority of the Philippine Coast Guard under the leadership of Admiral Loni Hilgavan, what you have heard yesterday, no, there is a new oil field na na-discover na naglalaman ng natural gas. So for the commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, he expressed the commitment of deploying the 97-meter and 44-meter vessel and even an aircraft, no? Para masigurado natin meron tayong 24/7 presence while this oil field ay hindi pa naman na-operationalize. But the Philippine Coast Guard will be there proactively and strategically deployed para siguraduhin ito ay protektado at makakapag-carry out tayo ng mas maayos na produksyon ng ating natural gas.
The Philippine Navy has a new vessel that's BRP Raha Sulaiman. Meron din ba for the Philippine Coast Guard na paparating?
Well, we are expecting the 597 meters, no? But not in a very near future. No? Meron pa rin tayong ugnayan sa France na mga patrol boats. As a matter of fact, 40 of that. But hopefully, ma-realize siya ng early 2027.
Okay. Of course, we do know there's a lot happening on the other side of the globe when it comes to the United States and their position on Venezuela, on Greenland. Is any of that worrying the Philippine Coast Guard?
You know, Gretchen, as far as our engagement with the United States, what concerns us. What concerns for other countries, we don't meddle to their affairs. And as far as our engagement with the United States on the part of the Philippine Coast Guard, we believe on the ironclad commitment of the United States and the support of U.S. when it comes to the rules-based order.
Now, of course, there are fears that the moves would embolden China to make moves against Taiwan, but that's a different matter altogether. Balik tayo sa inyo. As a final question, do you plan to file a response or counter-protest to the Chinese embassy?
You know, I'm just doing my job, Ms. Gretchen, no? As a spokesperson of the Coast Guard when it comes to the West Philippine Sea. Anything that we publicize, anything that we release to the public is based on factual events that happen. This is our most important and most significant tool that we have been using in countering the illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive actions of China. That is the limitation of my job. As to the diplomatic actions to be done against the Chinese embassy or the entire People's Republic of China, it's beyond my day job. It's for the other government agency to take over.
But you stand for your social media posts?
I stand for whatever we release because that represents the actual narrative in what's happening in the West Philippines.
All right. Thank you so much for your time today. This morning, we have PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela.
Thank you, Gretchen.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Ho. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.